evening. We have the great pleasure this evening and the great honor to have in our program Madame Maria Meneghini Callas. Good evening, Mrs. Callas, and how are you?
Good evening, Mr. Rodrini. I thank you for your lovely words, and I have the great pleasure of saying a good hearty hello to my fellow countrymen, especially Philadelphia. I was there with the Metropolitan, and I have wonderful memories of it.
Thank you very much. We know that you had a great success at the festival in Edinburgh just a few days ago, and we also know that you left the festival before you ended all your performances. Is there any reason why you did not finish your performances in Edinburgh?
Well, reasons, I suppose there always are so many reasons, especially in the newspapers. They always create reasons, even if they're not there any reasons. I respected my agreement, and I left, of course, in perfect harmony. So well I left that I had the honor of receiving the visit of the Lord Provost, which will be the Lord Mayor of the city. And I say honor because usually the Lord Provost does not go and visit. So if I had this enormous honor, and if the Lord Provost did come and see me, that means that I left in perfect harmony with everyone. In fact, I did perfectly respect my agreement, my contract with the Scala.
Mm-hmm, that is very true. And going back to the United States and the Metropolitan Opera, did you find yourself very comfortable at the Met last year? Are you going back this year again?
I was very comfortable at the Met. Of course, I can't say that the climate was very nice. We found such warm weather when it should have been cold weather. And also, you know, I suppose I did have a bit of, shall we call it bad publicity? I had nothing to do with it, but anyway, it was rather bad. Some articles against me. But I must say I was most happy at the Met. With Mr. Bing, with the public, I had enormous satisfactions. And I am coming back at the Metropolitan. In the beginning of February, I'm debuting with the Traviata.
Everybody knows, Mrs. Callas, that you had a great success in the United States. And, of course, we can't help to blame people, journalists, who have improperly attacked you. Your performances at the Metropolitan next year, will be Traviata included too, or?
Included, I will debut with Traviata, that I know so far. Then I think it will be Lucia and Tosca. Tosca we do again. I confess it's not one of my favorite operas, though. Imagine the funny part of it is I have won all the prizes of, that is, we have, of course, because I shouldn't say I have. We all contribute to it on my records of Tosca. We have won all the prizes of Paris and of everywhere, I must say. It was maybe the record that was most sold and most liked. But I suppose they did like my performances also in New York, and I have to do 2 more performances of Tosca, which I do with great pleasure, of course. And I have about a month and a half of performances in New York, and I am looking forward to them because time passed so quickly last year, and my, can't say my health, but I suppose I did not feel up to date. And as I say, I didn't really have time enough to enjoy New York, to see so many friends, to see also people that wanted to become my friends, and I hope to do so this year.
We hope so too, Mrs. Callas. And which recordings did you make lately now?
Lately I recorded, shall I say, this year I recorded Manon Lescaut, Puccini, Turandot, always of Puccini, and now I'm going to record Medea of Cherubini. During the winter I recorded Barbiere and Sonnambula. They have not come out yet. Last year I recorded quite a few operas. It was Ballo in Maschera, Trovatore and Bohème. Ballo in Maschera, Trovatore have come out, and with great pleasure I hear that it was a success. Bohème now has come out. I'm rather anxious to hear the opinion of people and of critics, because it's an opera that people don't usually see me in, and I never did on stage. I read 1 or 2 criticisms of it, and I'm rather pleased with them. In fact, I suppose it's liked. So those are the satisfactions of our work.
Is there any opera that you like to sing most, Madame Callas?
How do you mean, where?
What role, I mean?
What role? Well, you see, I've done so many roles. I'm afraid I haven't left very many. There are quite a few that I would like to do, and I don't think I care to right now. I must say there are 2 or 3 that interest me also, as Salome, Carmen. I've thought a lot about them, and I don't want to, because I feel that while I can sing the real Bel Canto, the 18th century operas, which would be the operas of Bellini, Rossini, and Donizetti, that I love most of all, and they say I'm a specialist of. Thank all people that say so. And I feel most of all, I suppose, because they're so romantic and sentimental, and it's rather the schooling that becomes me. And I avoid such operas that do really wreck the voice. As I said before, Carmen, no, it doesn't wreck the voice, but while I can sing, I feel it's useless to work so hard for an opera that even might interest me so much.
Now, you do have such a beautiful voice and a unique voice, Madame Callas, and we know that you can sing as a soprano coloratura, as a mezzo-soprano, a contralto, but you find yourself very easy to sing any kind of a role with a different vocal range.
Well, that is rather, we need quite a bit of time, and that we shall do in a second time. You see, you said before that I have a beautiful and unique voice. I thank you.
Yes, I will say this again.
I would like to believe you, but I suppose my modesty does not permit me. As for beauty, it is a matter of loving my kind of voice or not. Some people say I have a beautiful voice, some people say I have not. It's a matter of opinion. Some people say I have a unique voice, and some people say it's just a whole big lie. That is also a matter of opinion. The only thing I can say is that people who don't like me can just not come and hear me, because when I don't like something, I just don't bother about it. As for unique, I don't know whether it is unique. I think it's not. I think I'm just doing what once upon a time was done. Once upon a time, you see, in the 18th century, when Rossini, Bellini, Donizetti, and other of such composers composed operas for that epoch, that style, and that virtuosismo. You see, once upon a time, sopranos were considered sopranos, not light or heavy or medium or whatever you call it. A soprano was supposed to do every kind of opera. It's like a violinist, a pianist, has to perform any kind of music. They may perform a certain kind of music better because their temperament is for that kind of music more coordinate, more adapted to it. But it is ridiculous if a violinist or any kind of instrumentist cannot play certain virtuosismos. They would not be able to even be called a concertist, because not being able to perform that, of course, it would be, they couldn't even imagine of making a career. Well, now the singer that cannot perform certain virtuosismos should not sing, according to me. I hate to say this. It's very cruel, I suppose. But once upon a time, it was considered a voice not efficient, that is, the voice with defaults, and did other parts but could not sing these parts. Today, with Puccini, whom I do admire, Verdi, of course, is still of the old kind. In fact, his first operas, and even his recent operas, were inspired from the 18th century. I, that have sung 18th century operas and sing Verdi, there's sometimes that I really start laughing myself, because they have entirely the same structure of the 18th century. He was inspired by those Bellini, Donizetti, terribly, terribly much. Now, I must say that the operas, as I was saying, of Puccini are much easier to sing. So they don't require all this flexibility of the voice. Therefore, in studying, you don't require and you don't study all this virtuosismo. For instance, I'm quite sure that singers, even great singers, have never heard of Panofka, Conconi, and other books of this kind, which would be, of course, the lessons in piano, the I don't remember whether it was Clementi and so forth and so on. I mean, anyone knows those preparations for great concert or great operatic music. The preparation of trills, the preparations of distances, of scales, of runs and all those, of legati. This is all so complicated and very difficult, but so interesting and so important for music. You see, music, voice, is not only vocal tone. I know vocal tone is very important, but especially music is most important. A great artist must do music and sacrifice lots of times vocal tone. Expression is important. If we do not use expression in certain things, then we are very mechanical. And being mechanical, we only should do then oratorio, or we should do scales and trills. Now, a singer that is not capable of doing this virtuosismo, according to me, it, of course, is another world, I must say. You don't have to do it, so you can sing just Puccini and very certain operas of Verdi, limited operas of Verdi. But, of course, there is another subject I will touch. This subject is that I am attributed of having rivals. I'm afraid I haven't. It's not being immodest that I say this, but my rivals cannot be considered such if they sing certain operas of Puccini and very few other composers who do not require the virtuosismo. The day when I will have other singers, men or women, that do the same things I do, that treat music as I do, and that sing the opera as I do, then will be considered my rivals. That is why I care so much to bring this into our conversation. Don't be shocked, dear public. I'd like to precise exactly why. You see, I sing a very vast repertoire. It starts from Norma and it goes to Pagliacci, which is, of course, a profanation, as they say. My rivals, so-called, only sing, may I say, they say a lot of operas, but I really see that they sing certain operas, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 the most, and they keep on singing those operas over and over again. I do not sing 4 or 5 operas. I do not take it easy in my work. I work a lot. And not only that, I take enormous responsibilities. Because you see, when one brings to life a Medea, an Anna Bolena, a Puritani, and so forth, they risk being a flop. They risk losing months of work, months of money, because, of course, during the work I do not gain money. It means enormous preparation, humility in working, sacrificing time and spiritual life also. It's worth it. Otherwise, it's no use singing just for the fun of singing. You know, I could sing very well Bohème, Aida, I don't know, it's the usual work, André Chenier. That's much easier. I don't know, I said just any opera that comes into my brain because they're rather easy to do, so long as you just... One can yell their heads off singing them, and one can really sing them musically. That is a different point. Let's not go into that subject, because music should always be done, not singing only. But, as I say, the day that my so-called rivals will sing the operas I sing, will do the same things I do, on stage will act as I do, will sacrifice themselves as I do. I mean sacrifice, as I said before, working with humility and bringing to life operas and contributing to the art, to the music, and to the history of music. Up to then, I do not consider having any rivals, and I'm quite sure my public, I don't know if I expressed myself rightly, but if I made myself clear, my dear public will understand that up to the point that these people will not be singing my same operas, will not be doing what I do, rivals I do not have.
Yes, we agree with that.
On the contrary, I can sing their operas. Others may like it more, others may like it less. That is beside the point. I can sing all operas because I can sing these operas, because I sing music, and singing music is not a specialty. Singing music, a musician must do everything. So you see, rivals I have not. And I'm sorry this nonsense has come out.
Well, we know, Mrs. Callas, that you are not afraid of any rival.
No, I'm not afraid of any rival because I do not have one. Thank heavens for me, forgive my modesty, and unfortunately for art, because we could use more singers. For instance, I cannot go everywhere and show Medea, Norma, Anna Bolena, and this is music. This is precious music, and I would love it to go around the world and show it. So, as I say, the music is losing. The public also would love to hear these operas, and of course I can't be all over the world showing this music. Also, I would like to precise this. I hate people saying, or journalists or whoever these, or my enemies, or even my so-called colleagues sometimes. I'm speaking generally, not as individuals, please. Accuse me of wanting to do everything, of doing everything. It is not a matter of wanting to do everything. I do not do everything. I'm just doing my duty as a soprano, as a singer, trying to help music, contributing to it and sacrificing myself for it. I have done, and I'm proud of it, and I will continue doing so. I would hope only that my colleagues, instead of talking so much, bothering so much about what I do, I wish they would bother about what they do and see what they do, try to do it better.
Thank you very much for your interpretation, Madame Callas. I would like to ask you this, if you find yourself more comfortable in your performances at the Metropolitan in New York or at the La Scala in Milan.
Well, it's a rather difficult question, and I'm sorry, I would hate to really hurt any one of them. Of course, I suppose I'm known as being a very sincere person, and a person, of course, of word of honor, which brings me back to the subject of Edinburgh, just for a moment, that, of course, if I promise to do something, I always keep my word. If I don't do something, that means that I did not promise it, and I had nothing absolutely to do with it, and it is not my fault. Now, coming back to where I'm happier, I must say, on one side, I'm happier at the Scala because, you see, the Scala has more money. The Scala has, I can't say more tradition because the Metropolitan has an enormous tradition, but it is more taken care of. They have more money, as I said before, and then it's also their job. They must show the world that they do opera better than all. I have sung there more. You see, at the Metropolitan, I have only had 2 months work there. Forgive my word, job, because it's so vulgar. And I have given birth to so many operas at the Scala, where at the Metropolitan, no. So the opera house in itself is lovelier. The acoustic is much nicer. At the Met, unfortunately, we do not have a nice acoustic. And I'm afraid that's why I can't be very happy. You see, when you sing at the Metropolitan, you lose control of your voice because you don't hear it at all, so you force yourself. And that is very unfortunate for a voice, because forcing means that you use the muscle of the vocal cord, and that is very, very bad. We should never, never use the vocal cords. We should only use breath and resonance, so as we can dedicate to expression, to virtuosismo, and to music, to style, to legato, to those infinite millions of things that create and make music. So at the Metropolitan, not hearing your voice, you get panicky, you force your voice, and of course the whole picture of the music that you do is not just it. I hope this year to feel better and to get more used to it. It's all a question also of nerves. When you're a little bit jittery, I suppose you just don't give the best of your performances. So I unfortunately can't say that I am happier at the Scala. I will do my best on my side to be happy also at the Met, because I don't think it is right that I should not be happy there, especially because the public has been so wonderful to me, and I've been so very happy with Mr. Bing.
Is any new opera that you are studying now, Mrs. Callas?
Yes, I'm not quite yet studying it, but I'm afraid I will have to study it as soon as I just rest and get myself back, because you see, I suppose I'm a bit run down. In fact, I'm resting now, otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to take more of of singing. You see, as I said before, singing the usual old music, one does not tire himself. But giving so much and recreating operas takes a lot out of you. So I suppose I'm a bit run down now, and I'm just taking care of myself to rest. As soon as I am a bit rested, I will start studying again a new opera, very old opera, but new for the public, which will be Pirata of Bellini, and which I suppose we will do this year at the Scala. So there is some more work, some more nervous tension, some more love, enormous love given into the music, and some more hope and fear for a new success.
We want to thank you very, very much, Madame Callas, for this very nice interview. And we will be impatient until you will come to the United States, where we will welcome you very warmly again at the Metropolitan.
Yes, thank you. I thank you for saying that. I hope that my dear public that listens to me now will want me back as you do. I also want to go back with great pleasure, and I also want to say one more word. I'm deeply grateful for the wonderful reception of last year. I'm deeply grateful for the wonderful letters, for the wonderful honors that have been attributed to me last year. I can't go into details because we haven't got the time. But I must say I'm deeply grateful for everything. And also, I must say one thing. Dear public, please try to see me as a musician that only dedicates herself to music. Don't believe a lot of nonsense that can be said about me. I suppose it is my destiny that people love to say a lot about me. I suppose it is my destiny that lots of people, enemies, colleagues, can be nasty to me, and to try to defend some weaknesses of theirs, try to throw all responsibility on me. I don't think that's right, and I don't think that's honest. The only thing I can say for the public is to be impartial and to only think that I dedicate myself really to art. That is the only important thing, and I think that's the only thing that the public wants of me. So love me and think of me as an artist, not as what they paint me of.
We can assure you, Madame Callas, that the American audience loves your heart, and we are waiting to hear you again in the United States. Anyway, everybody has enemies, and but we know what arms to use against them. And you use your art.
My only arm is that just to have health, to have perfect art, and to show what I'm capable of doing. If people like it or not, that we have to be patient. But just I hope and pray that I will always feel well to give all I can to art. That's why I thank you for everything. I thank you for your love, and I love you maybe more than you love me all. Thank you and goodbye. Too soon, to February, when I'll come back to New York.
Thank you very much, Madame Callas. You have your very, very best wishes for your health and for your continuous, beautiful artistic career. Goodbye.